Jesus Christ. All right. Let me know you're ready.
All right.
What's up, everyone? We're back with Miss Gwendolyn, CEO and founder of the Moyo Institute. She is a Reiki master and our meditation ambassador here at Covis Richmond. And for the past 9 weeks,
Yes.
Jeez, for the past 9 weeks, we have been talking about Miss Gwendolyn's blog post, Meditation and Self-Care, a Radical Life Affirming Response to Racism. And within the blog post, she has listed 9 steps to disrupt the health effects of systemic racism. So each week we've been going over each step and kind of elaborating and talking fully through each concept. And so today is our last day on this blog post. But before I get ahead of myself, I know Miss Gwendolyn wants to set the tone and set the mood for today's discussion through some breath work.
Yes. Let's sit with our feet flat on the floor, spine erect, and close your eyes if you're able, if you're in a place to do that. And let's take 3 deep breaths. So inhale, hold it, exhale. Inhale, hold it, exhale. One more. Inhale, hold, exhale. And feel yourself fully arriving, bringing your body and mind together in this spot, period, right now. Right.
Awesome. I always enjoy our breath work. It's my moment of clarity in the day. Even though it's only 3 breaths, it does like kind of reset where you're at. It's a beautiful thing. So, like I was saying earlier, we have been discussing the 9 steps that you've outlined over the past 9 weeks on how to disrupt the health effects of systemic racism. When we talk about systemic racism, there is also a physical effect that happens to Black and brown people of color when they're encountered with these moments. And so these steps are to help us kind of not just move past, but not allow that to become a part of our being.
That's right.
And so we've discussed, and since we have new people, I'll go over it. We discussed controlling what we let in, unraveling the messages of self-hatred, examining how we communicate, listen to cues from your body, connecting with nature, align your sleep pattern with nature, feel your feelings, which is very, very important. Feel your feelings, reorient yourself to your divinity. And this week, we're talking about meditate. Practicing meditation and mindfulness is a key disruptor of stress pathways. From Ruth King, author of Mindful of Race, Transforming Racism from the Inside Out. She writes, racism is a heart disease. How we think and respond is at the core of racial suffering and racial healing. The best tool I know to transform our relationship to racial suffering is mindfulness meditation. It is not a religious code as much as it is a social psychology that supports experiences of well-being.
Right. And some of our viewers might know Ruth King. She actually lived here in the Bay Area for a while.
Hey, yo.
She's she had a book on rage, and she's been doing work in this area for a number of years. And one of the things that I think is really important, like someone asked me this weekend, like, how do you process rage? How do you get through it? How have you overcome it?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I'm not sure I've overcome it.
Right.
Because the experiences that happen on a day-to-day basis, or whenever we encounter systemic or institutionalized racism, or whenever we see it happening to others or on television or whatever, it triggers that feeling that's deep inside.
Right.
Sometimes we repress it. Sometimes we may not repress it. We just might explode with anger. But I think my response to her and my response to the audience today is that, we have to do like step by step, to start where you are right now. And what I've noticed over time is with meditation, it makes it possible for me to be in the witness state more than in the reactive state.
Right.
And so, and there's a reason for that. I mean, it's, when we are practicing meditation, we're actually tapping into one of the most powerful things in our body, which is breath. And we're actually allowing that breath to come into alignment in our bodies. So we're slowing our breath down, we're breathing slowly and deeply, and we're allowing ourselves to relax. And what happens to the body is different chemical responses happen in the brain. I think of the breath, the emotions, and the mind as sort of a golden triangle. You can use the breath to moderate your emotions, and it actually calms your mind as well.
Absolutely.
So what I want to say is that there's not a magic bullet. There's not a magic bullet for dealing with the trauma of racism. It's a multi-layered strategy that has to be put in place. And but one of the strategies that we can take on for ourselves so that we don't become victims in terms of our own physical well-being is to do self-care.
Absolutely.
And meditation is one of the foundational tools of self-care. It's not enough just to get a massage or to get our nails done.
Right.
Or to get our hair done.
Right.
We've got to go a little bit deeper than that and
Right.
give ourselves the gift of being present and being mindful.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that, because within this blog post, and I highly encourage you guys to go to moyoinstitute.org, because I said .com last time and I was wrong, .org, and you can go look at the blog post that she wrote. But you mentioned meditation and mindfulness make it possible to be more present and supported while accomplishing steps 1 through 8. So it's in a couple of ways, in looking at the 9 steps that you've created in this space, it's not only reactive, right? So afterwards, but it's also preventative.
It is, and it also is lasting.
Yes.
So it is not like during meditation you have a good calm feeling. When you cultivate meditation in your being, it becomes a state that's present over time.
Right.
So, when you encounter that next situation, you're already in a better place to deal with it.
Just like when we are natural, some of us are naturally reactive. So you stay in a place, reactivity, right?
Yes.
Whether it's racism or somebody got your Starbucks order wrong, your immediate response is ready to go. Like, don't play with me. But in the same capacity, we can curate our own emotional responses and our mind, our body in instances of racism or bigotry or any of the spectrum of actions that come into that.
That's right. And we started talking about how chronic stress affect the telomeres or the telomeres. The Elizabeth Blackburn, she pronounces it telomeres, but I think Westerners, Americans pronounce it telomeres. So, and these are the little casings at the end of chromosomes. And when we're in chronic stress all the time, those little caps at the end, like the little casings at the end of shoelaces, they become frayed and they shorten, and that opens us up to disease on a cellular level. And so basically what happens with meditation, it's been shown that a hormone that's a feel-good hormone, oxytocin, is produced in the body, in the brain, and also there's more telomerase activity in the brains of folks who meditate. So you're actually giving yourself this gift of self-healing, when you meditate.
Ashe, ashe, preventing the stressors
Exactly.
of the stress that comes along with these encounters. And so I know I've done some of your meditations in the past, and not in response to this specifically, but I've noticed that carry, where now I have to meditate in the morning because it kind of carries me throughout the day. And if we're gonna look at it like a train track, if I'm moved off to the side a little bit, I go back into like, okay, let's get into some quick meditation, 5 minutes here, and it kind of brings, if I'm derailed, I can bring myself back.
Yes.
And I think that's the ultimate goal when we're talking about all of these steps, is that you're not always gonna be, it's okay, I'm all right, whatever. You're not always gonna be like that, right? But then the goal is to be able to bring yourself back.
And also, it's to cultivate awareness. So, I mean, I think that as we become more aware and more of a witness of what's going on in our lives, we have the option of choosing how to respond, you know. And so, I am not saying, you know, walk around with this position day in and day out. Right. But I am saying,
right.
But I am saying that the more you meditate and the more you actually cultivate this within your being, you'll find that there's a quality of silence and presence that's there, even while you're going through challenging experiences. And so, you know, it becomes something that's natural and automatic,
right,
as opposed to something you have to stop and do to try to self-correct.
Right. In the midst of panic, you're like,
exactly.
breathe.
Exactly.
It's just like, it's like a natural way a natural state of being, right?
And you know, like, it's really interesting. People have all kinds of different notions about meditation. Like, oh, well, what is it? You know, it's I pray. I don't need to meditate. You know what I mean? And I used to say, well, you know, praying is when you're talking to God. And meditation is when you're listening.
Yes, because prayer requires action, and where meditation requires, I think prayer is like an external action, and meditation is an internal action.
Right.
So external.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're the master.
You're right.
I'm just asking for the audience.
So, you know, like last week we talked about really reorienting to your divinity. And so one of the things that happens in meditation is you get aligned. Your mind, body, and spirit become more aligned. And then you're really more in touch with your own divine nature. And so you are able to access those higher frequencies. I like to call them frequencies. It's sort of like we have these physical bodies, and that's the most dense part of us, you know, but we also have emotional body, we have our mental body, we have our spiritual body, and we have these layers, or they're called sheaths and koshas in some different practices. But we're not just these physical bodies. We're all that. You know, we're all this, you know. And actually, we're all of this too, everything that we're seeing.
Right.
But that's another step.
Right.
I mean, it takes a while to get to that.
Right. Our experiences are us.
Yes.
Well, talk about that some other time, right? So, anything that you want to leave us with? Well, and maybe not just this specific step, but out of everything that we've talked about over the past 9 weeks, it's been such an enriching experience, specifically for me, because the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to learn something. But for those who weren't able to attend all 9 sessions, or this is their first time even considering like meditation as a response to the stress of dealing with systemic racism, is there anything that you want to leave the audience?
Well, again, I would just sort of recap the 9 steps, which is the first one is be careful what you let in. Basically, what that means is not to allow yourself to be controlled by these images that are all around discounting and disorienting who we are as people of color, you know. And recognize that even when we're watching movies or TV or whatever, you know, there's so much subtle racism built into these films. So we have to be really become aware of what is the message, the subliminal messages that are going into our consciousness when we're observing that. And I did talk about unraveling messages of self-hatred, because all of that is integrated in the vehicles that, like television and movies and things, and the messages that we hear that, you know, portray, for instance, people of color in these subservient roles, in these criminal roles, in all of these ways that just say, oh, this is who you are, right? And I'm saying that if we allow ourselves to be defined by that, you know, we're actually internalizing self-hatred.
Absolutely.
Right? And the third one is examine how you communicate. And we talked about how it's important to use empowering language when we talk about ourselves, when we talk to ourselves, and when we talk to each other, as opposed to disempowering language. And also to take a stand when it feels appropriate, in terms of microaggressions, you know, to let ourselves not internalize those, but to actually call them out appropriately with folks when they're overstepping a boundary. And then the fourth one was listening to cues from your body, and that is to actually learn to take in the kind of nourishment in your body that actually heals you and restores you, and not just eating things because your grandmother ate them and they ate what they could get, and now it's our role as this generation to be more mindful, more thoughtful, to take the steps of looking at what our body responds to, what gives us a feeling of nourishment, what causes us to have headaches, what causes us to feel sluggish, you know, that sort of thing. So taking cues from our body, listening to the body, making journals about what you eat and when you actually have some negative effect going on in your body, to see if that is in fact the cause. Connecting with nature, we talked about both getting out and letting your feet touch the ground, your bare feet touch the ground, so we can actually absorb the electromagnetic field of the earth when we're out there and being in nature, in parks, around trees, and during forest bathing. And finally, not finally, but we also talked about realigning your sleep pattern, which is the one that I'm working on the most.
Me too.
Because I know that for every 2 hours, the body, around the 24-hour clock, different organs in the body are being nourished and regenerated. And so making sure that we're in a restful place, that we're sleeping so that the maximum repair can take place at those hours, I think is very, very important. We talked about feeling your feelings, and that again is not internalizing, repressing, pretending that they don't exist.
Right.
You know?
I'm not mad. Yes, you are. You want to punch a wall.
But feel your feelings, and also in this particular strategy, it's important not to really project onto other people. You know, so take some quiet time for yourself to be with yourself and to allow yourself to ask the question, what's really going on? You know, because we notice that sometimes when we're having a reaction, it is disproportionate to what happened. And it might be because it's triggering something that's old, that's unhealed, that needs to be looked at. So feeling your feelings without projecting them onto others, and then reorienting yourself to your divinity, which, I really feel very, very strongly about this, because we have been programmed to believe that we're these awful sinners who have to, beg and plead for mercy from God, and I'm sorry, I just don't accept that.
Me neither.
So,
Me neither.
I.
Because just like in the same Bible, God is also full of joy, peace, harmony, and all these things. He's not just benevolent.
Right.
Right.
Well, I feel that we're sons and daughters
Mm-hmm.
of the Most High,
Mhm.
whatever you call that.
Right.
And I think we're the hands and feet of that, so that means that we have responsibilities and obligations to care for each other, to care for this world.
Mm-hmm.
But to really begin to sort of move away from this kind of helpless poor me,
Yes.
come save me somebody attitude to, okay, I have within me the capacity to tap into those higher energies, to tap into that frequency of love and unconditional love and compassion that is really the core foundation of my own divinity.
Absolutely.
I have the capacity to tap into that and to make that my go-to place and allow myself to begin to experience that through the silence. We play meditation often during music often during meditation just to help people calm down. But there's nothing more beautiful than silence,
Mm-hmm.
and more full and more nourishing.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a place where we can get out of our own head talking about, okay, God, give me this, give me this, give me that, I need this, whatever, and please help me, and allow ourselves to begin to feel, first of all, ourselves manifesting what we need. And secondly, feeling our resilience and feeling our capacity to take the steps to improve our lot, right?
Sure, yes.
So all of these things are actually supported by meditation.
Yes.
It gives you a way. It gives you a way of being present in the world as a strong, radiant being,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to a victim.
Ashe.
Mhm.
Ashe. Wow.
That was a mouthful.
Well, no, but it was perfect because
Yeah.
it's like, we have the sessions, but that is a perfect kind of nutshell, the interwoven and interconnectedness of all 9 steps and how they all kind of feed into this
Mhm.
trunk. I look at it as a tree. The trunk is meditation, or you are the trunk, and
Mhm.
meditation is part of the roots. But then all these branches are the ways within self that you can
Mhm.
navigate.
I like that metaphor.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
The tree has been a metaphor for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of. I've
It's
been
a good
a lot
one.
of root. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, and it's great that we're talking about meditation today because we actually just decided right before we did this that Gwendolyn is going to be back. We can't have this end. we just can't. So Miss Gwendolyn is going to be back every Tuesday at this time to be doing lunchtime meditation on live.
Right. So next Tuesday, I will share with you a meditation called the Happiness Meditation.
Ashe.
And it's a short meditation. It takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Okay.
And it's one way to begin to put into practice some of the things that we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And think about meditation. I like what Ruth King said in that quote. It's not a religion. It's not it's not a substitute even
Mm-hmm.
for whatever your religious beliefs are.
Absolutely not.
But it actually is like a tool to, what did Ruth King say it was? I liked what she said. She said, think of it as a social psychology that supports the experiences of well-being. I like that. So what we're talking about is giving ourselves a tool
Mm-hmm.
that actually helps us to experience well-being in the world.
Absolutely. So we're very excited to start meditation next week. And I am, because I'm sitting right on the other side of the camera. Afraid this is going to be led by you.
I want to say, Christina, that I have really loved doing this with you. I enjoy your spirit, your energy, your insights, your wisdom, and it's really a pleasure.
I've learned so much from you in the past 9 weeks. I'm just being able to put little pieces into action, even down to I think the most one is the align your sleep with nature.
Yes.
I now naturally get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
But just letting myself rise with the sun and like really just taking key parts where I haven't necessarily dealt with instances of racism lately, but I'm noticing how these things on just a daily basis have given me an overall better sense of well-being in my life. And so when those instances come, or I've had hard instances at work where these things came into play.
Yes.
So it was like, okay, like it works. So I'm
Beautiful.
very, very happy to be able to host this with you. Thank you so much for what you've given back to this community that's been tapping in for the past 9 weeks. And now we're going to give even more with our virtual meditation on IG Live. So yes, you don't need a Zoom link, you don't need to register. All you got to do is come right here at 12 or whenever the live goes up, between 12 till 10. We fall in there.
Yeah.
And have meditation with us in space. And so thank you so much for allowing me to do this with you. This has been great. And at the expense of crying, I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody.
No. It's really wonderful for me. I love just having the opportunity to share.
Yes.
And so,
This
thank
is
you.
Awesome.
Blessings to you. Blessings to everyone. Thank you so much.
And make sure you follow Ms. Gwendolyn at Moyo Institute. That's MOYO Institute on IG, and connect with her via her website, moyoinstitute.org. So we'll be back here next Tuesday, 12 o'clock for our first meditation.
That's right.
All right, you guys have a beautiful day. Take these things with you. Read the blog post. And if you have any questions, make sure to reach out. Bye.
Beautiful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, it's cool. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. I probably should.